was just fascinating. And, you know, that brings up the other issue of Bing Crosby. And the number one, not only Christmas song hit as far as selling records goes, but number one song hit of all time being White Christmas. Do you remember that?
Yes. Yes, that's for all I know, that is still the best selling song. But I don't know which one is the most popular or most favorite. But I would say
no, the best. You're right. The distinction is that White Christmas has been the highest selling single song of all time, even beating the Beatles, Elvis, Frank Sinatra, all of them. With Bing Crosby. Bing Crosby is a product of the state of Washington, so we're really proud of him up here in the Seattle area.
That's right.
Was raised in Spokane and went to Gonzaga University, and always had a soft spot in his heart for this area up here. But
I just found that out recently. Yeah, he's from Washington.
Yeah, fascinating guy, and his eyes were the bluest things you've ever seen. It's just kind of like Sinatra. Sinatra has the most blue. Had the most blue eyes you'll ever see. That's why they call them old blue eyes. It was just stunning.
That's right.
Before contact lenses and all that, cosmetic stuff that they could do to themselves. But anyway,
do you think here's a question that maybe someone has on their mind. Do you think either one of these gentlemen would, I wouldn't say assent, I would say, I think I'm trying to say, would credit the idea of UFOs, aliens, stuff like that? Do you think they would be open to that concept?
Bing
Crosby.
I think those kind of stars, who had contact with the most powerful people in the world at the time, must have known a whole lot about UFOs, alien races on other planets, cryptids and paranormal. I just had that feeling when I was a young kid, being the gopher and the host and the bartender in the green room at Universal Studios Amphitheater. I had the feeling that a lot of those people that were in the know and were famous, they had all sorts of knowledge that was inside them that they weren't necessarily going to show or share in public. And I have heard of some of the researchers out there that have done kind of the Hollywood UFO scene and come up with some amazing stories of, for instance, we mentioned John Lennon earlier, and John Lennon says that he wrote many of his songs with just like a download from some kind of elsewhere. It just kind of like came to him. And I remember, let's see, Crosby, Stills, Nash. Neil Young did the same thing. He's got a fantastic UFO song that he says was just downloaded to him in one fell swoop. So yeah, it's a fascinating idea to think that people. I mean, let's face it. The whole idea of disclosure is coming around so big right now. I don't know if you have felt it ever since the New York Times, article came out last December 16th, confirming the existence of UFOs. Things have been happening very quickly, I believe, in that regard.
Yeah. There's big meetings. There's large groups of people that are meeting to substantiate and make the whole subject beyond reproach. It used to be like 20, 30 years ago, you'd be reproached for speaking out about it without really great photographs or audio visual or, Spielberg type of, coverage.
Yeah.
But that's not the case anymore. That's bygone days.
Yeah. Matter of fact, now even Harvard astronomers just recently were talking about this Oumuamua, asteroid that came through our solar system in October, potentially being an alien probe. They're actually talking about this in the mainstream media. Fascinating stuff. Matter of fact, I heard just recently a follow-up story from the same Harvard scientists who have confirmed, they say, that there were 4 other cigar-shaped objects bigger or the same size as this Oumuamua that are parked around our solar system. That they've actually got some photographs of those things out there. And so it sounds like something's about to happen, or they're trying to prepare us for something that could be happening. I don't know.
Yeah. No, that sounds right. Sounds right. Definitely. There's a lot of interest in this area of, in this area of the galaxy. Look how fast we have gone from horse and buggy to, my gosh, autonomously driven cars. Space exploration, curing or at least remedying some of the most savage diseases that man's ever known. Exploring every inch of the continents, getting under the ocean. Maybe the very deepest parts have not yet been sounded because of the terrific pressures. So there's very limited access to that area. But there's not going to be much down there except these crazy-looking fish that look like electric lights that turn on and off.
Yeah, exactly. And 75% of the planet is covered with the ocean. So, matter of fact, there's the theory out there that if you were a extraterrestrial craft and you wanted to hide on the planet somewhere, why not do it right under the ocean? Have a base there or whatever.
Yeah, I would say a base would be pretty much impervious to detection if it was down 7,000 feet, a mile and a half under the ocean. And apparently, there's been many stories, many eyewitness stories of these things going into the ocean or bodies of water, coming out of bodies of water. So, hey, who are we to say no?
Yeah. Matter of fact, that you brought that up, in that same newspaper article, the New York Times back in December 16th, when the Pentagon officials were talking about this gun camera footage, of the Tic Tac UFO that they showed, hovering over the water next to the Nimitz aircraft carrier. They said, at least the pilots were mentioning this when they were finally interviewed. The pilots were saying that while they were watching this maybe 40-foot long Tic Tac shaped object hovering over the water, that underneath the surface of the ocean, boiling below the Tic Tac, was this large, probably 100 to 200 foot in diameter, saucer-shaped object right there under the ocean that seemed to have some kind of connection with this above the surface craft. Yeah, obviously. Well, I don't think any of these stories or any of these things are going to diminish over the next many years. They're probably going to become more and more prevalent. That's why you do the show. That's why you write the books. And by the way, if I could do my plug here again, for the audio version of Confessions of an Alien Marooned on Earth, a.k.a. Exiled to Earth, anybody who's listening, truckers or otherwise, send me an email at audiobook@ ChazVanHeydenBooks.com, and my name is spelled up there on Amazon if you need to have the spelling, but it's Van Heyden is VanHeyden, and the rest obviously is Chaz. Right. Oh, that's good. We'll have to make sure we mention that again later on in the show so people can get your. Yeah. And I can't imagine. It will definitely be fun reading about Elvis Apolloni. That's Apolloni, right? You got it. Apolloni. Sorry, that has got to be a great character to read about. Well, what I do is I don't talk about aliens after the fact that we know he is one. We don't go into sightings or anything like that. We go into his efforts, his struggle to keep it secret so he's not put in a jar, by some government agents. And he has to figure out a way or
create or devise a method of getting from here to a very, very distant planet, his home planet, and I mean very distant.
Yeah.
So he's got his work cut out for him, and eventually, I think people will enjoy the mid part and the ending as well.
Oh, good. Well, that brings up a question. Have you ever had a close encounter yourself of anything you couldn't explain? Maybe as a youth or whatever.
Yeah, as I was saying, I wanted to go over a few things that I'd gone over with Gary Anderson a couple of months ago on his Night Talk Radio, his Night Dreams Radio.
Yeah,
it was 79. It was 1979. As I said, 5 years after John Lennon had his encounter, and I was standing on the roof of a apartment building on Martell Avenue in Hollywood. It's still Hollywood, and I was looking northeast, and there was a Shakey's Pizza, alive and well, right there on Santa Monica Boulevard, and there was a glowing globe that for 45 seconds didn't move and just pulsated right over the Shakey's Pizza. And it wasn't there to get a pizza. I don't think it was there to get to do a pickup.
Yeah. And this was daylight?
No, this was around 8 o'clock at night. This is early summer. So it was getting dark around, let's see, I think it was May, maybe not quite summer. So it was dark around 8.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
it was definitely dark, and that's why it stood out and glowed and was easy to identify as a UFO.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. If you were to put your thumb out at arm's length, would this thing be larger or smaller than your thumb that you saw?
Well, it was a good 200 yards away, maybe, 200 yards away. I think I said 100 yards on Gary's show, but I think it's more like 200 yards away.
Okay.
But it was close enough for me to know that it was, in fact, number one, it did exist, it was real, and number two, that it was glowing and pulsating.
What color was it, pulsating?
I would call it a kind of a yellowish pulsating light, turning a bit white. It would pulsate from yellow to white.
Interesting.
Yeah, as I look at it now in my mind,
Yeah. And was this any noise or anything accompanying the sighting?
Not whatsoever. These things hardly ever make noise. That's one of the things that you can say is pretty much the standard description. They usually are noiseless, unless you're right underneath them,
Right. Well, how did this thing appear and or disappear?
Very quickly. Now, I didn't see it appear. My eyes set upon it, and I looked at it kind of quizzically and went, "Whoa!" Within about 3 seconds, I identified it. Oh, yeah, that's a UFO. That could be some kind of spacecraft. And I watched it glowing, and then it just disappeared. Boom, quickly.
Yeah. So did it blink out, disappear, or did you actually see it go somewhere, do you think?
No, it blinked out.
Got it. Wow.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah. Just as if someone had turned the lights in it off, and maybe didn't want to travel, maybe didn't want to be seen as it flying, as a streak across the sky, and then someone says, "Hey, call the F-16s or F-116s." At that time, F-10. I don't think they had 16s, F-104s.
Yeah.
You can get it, get it out, knock it out of the sky. But it definitely wasn't a Halloween light or something from Griffith Observatory that happened to be thrown over the wall.
Yeah, or a Japanese lantern or those kinds of things that you
Japanese
see.
lantern, no, it wasn't near those.
Yeah. And what was your impression when you saw this thing?
Well, I'd either earlier or a few days later seen a very, very interesting thing which most people don't get a chance to see, and that was a meteorite coming down to Los Angeles, very, very large, and very, very golden, and very, very scary, actually. It was coming towards me, same location on the roof, or possibly downstairs. I can't remember if it was on the roof like the other one. But this happened within a few days, and I've been trying for the last few years to get clippings from newspapers to see if